Hello, Alex. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start with the first question. Can architecture be taught and why?
As somebody who's been studying architecture for the past 7 years or so, I would like to think that it can be taught. I think as far as professions go, it has some difficulties that don't exist in professions like legal professions or medicine, in that a lot of it can be very subjective and open to interpretation. But I think that part of the experience of studying and learning architecture is about honing your intuition and your understanding of the profession to the point that you can approach those subjective questions in a more productive way.
What is still missing in the architecture education system, and what do you see unnecessary to teach nowadays?
What is missing from the architecture system? The first one I think is, or the second part of that question I think is easier to start with. What is unnecessary to teach nowadays? The profession has evolved a lot in maybe the last 20 years with kind of the proliferation of digital technology and applications. So I think that what we're seeing is schools and professional organizations moving away from hand drawing and these sort of things. But then that leads right back to the first part of the question, where I think that it's important for schools to be teaching those traditional skills and those hand techniques, because they really help to hone those instincts of an architect and kind of your professional reflexes.
How do you push the boundaries of architecture education?
I think pushing the boundaries of education is mostly about kind of engaging students in experimentation and looking for new approaches in that way. It's really, the educational process is unique and different from the professional side of the field, in that we have the ability to explore things that can be absurd, kind of silly, and I think what's important about the educational process is just to be able to have fun with the things that you're studying and explore the things that interest you, whether or not there's stuff that's directly related to the field. Just being able to take the things that you're interested in, the things that inspire you and excite you, and to push them and incorporate them all into one.
How can we educate the general public about architecture?
I think the general public is more educated about architecture than we think they are. I think what maybe would be more important is to educate architects about the general public. We kind of have a vague grasp on what it is that people want and how people perceive our work. And I think that it would be more helpful for architects to better understand the people and the places for whom they are building, rather than the other way around.
What is the architecture degree worth to you?
Hopefully it's worth a good job coming out of here, but I think mostly the credentials that it represents, it's a very broad skill set, and it's basically an understanding of how to incorporate the architect's knowledge of people and of places, of technologies, of materials, into something that's comprehensive. Architecture is basically the recombination of space, of light, and of materiality into something that's meaningful to people who inhabit it. And I think that's the skill set that we derive from our degree.
Thank you, Alex, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.